Welcome to this Java Break with Basis. In this session, we'll show examples of the Basis browser user interface in action, with examples pulled both from some of Basis's own systems and from our community. My name is Paul Yeomans, and I'm joined today by Nico Spence, CEO and Chairman of Basis International. We'll also be joined by Nick Decker, our engineering supervisor. Let's take a look at the agenda. First, we'll talk about just what is a browser user interface. Then we'll show the Bowie in action with a couple examples from the Basis Bcom, from an internal app we run here at Basis that interfaces with add-on software, with Bowie apps that have been developed at MQ, an app that's been developed in Europe by the SuperMusic store, and then we'll see an example of Bowie accessing Pro5 data in the healthcare industry. We'll also be talking about a brand new Basis cloud utility. We'll tell you how you can get your application to Bowie, and then we'll answer your questions. First, let's get started with just what is Bowie. Nico?
Thanks, Paul. It is the most groundbreaking technology to come out of Basis in 25 years. Both Visual Pro 5 and BBJ developers who've developed GUI applications benefit from Bowie's functionality. It's implemented with the Google Web Toolkit. What happens is that the Google Web Toolkit cross-compiles the Java-based code into JavaScript. So you just write once into BBJ, and you now magically have an application that'll run in the web. JavaScript works across all major browsers and platforms. So the Bowie benefits that you get is that you require no JVM on the desktop on the client machine. No rewrite is required of your application code. If you've written it once in BBJ and tested it in the GUI environment, it'll run in the Bowie environment. It works on any JavaScript-enabled browser. It's another reason for BBJ to be your language of choice for developing business applications. It is Java made easy. So what does a Bowie application look like? Very similar to the sysGUI counterpart. It inherits the browser look and feel. So unlike the sysGUI counterpart, which will inherit the look and feel of the host operating system, it'll inherit a look and feel of the host browser. It's an interactive, stateful application, as you might expect from a BBJ application, and you write it once and run it anywhere. The old Java claim is now finally true. Not true with Java, but true with BBJ. So what are the Bowie considerations? Firstly, be sure to try and remove or reduce any unnecessary round trips in your application. Round trips obviously expose the latency of the connection to the internet, to the server-based application code. So by reducing your round trips, you can improve the snappiness of your application. When can you start delivering or developing applications in Bowie? Now. You can write code in Barista and deploy it in Bowie. You can write code using the App Builder and Form Builder in the Basis IDE and deliver it to Bowie. Or you could hand code within the IDE using the IDE's syntax-aware editor and code completion system. Let's not take my word for it, though. Let me hand over to Paul to talk about some of our clients who've already put Bowie into action.
For our first look at a Bowie app, we're going to use the Basis BCommerce app that many of you are very familiar with. When Basis first developed Bowie functionality, we really needed a real-world working example. At the same time, Basis wanted to make their order placement system, Bcommerce, more accessible through the elimination of the requirement of a JRE on the client machine. But first, some brief history. Basis's Bcommerce was developed in 2000 in Visual Pro 5, chiefly as an internal order processing application. Later, it was converted to BBJ, making it an external app for our partners to access via the web using BBJ's thin client technology. While Bcommerce is a powerful application, many of our users asked about accessing it without the installation of a JRE on the client machine. The solution was our own Bowie. We have an Advantage magazine article that covers the Bowie Bcom entitled Bowie to the Rescue. Let's have a look at it. Here we have Basis's Bcom running as GUI, and remember it's written in Visual Pro 5. That goes back a number of years, and we're going to log in. And so we're running this as a thin client from my desktop, and as we get in here to the menu system, this is going to look quite familiar. We're going to go directly to our shopping cart. I know we've already got some items there. From here we can go to checkout, and remember we can email the invoice to whatever email address we'd like right here, We're going to proceed, and from this window we can make a payment on our credit card. Nice and easy. Everything is running out in the cloud on a Linux server out on the West Coast. All of Basis's processes and testing and machines, etc., are all cloud-based. So here we are back on the Basis website, and we're looking at the Bcom again, the login page, and this is indeed running in Bowie. And we're going to walk through the same steps we just did over on the GUI side. Okay, here's the menu system again. Again, remember there's no JVM on the desktop, and we could just as well be running on an iPad with a good 3G connection. We're going to go up here to the shopping cart. Here's our purchase. We can go to the checkout. And you might ask again, where's the server? Well, it too is in the cloud, and it too is over on the West Coast. The look and feel here is going to be browser dependent. Performance is also browser dependent, and the speed of the network's latency and linked to the browser's rendering engine. Here we can make that payment and process it on through. Internet Explorer 9 from Microsoft is promising dramatic performance improvement over IE 8, and our experiences with Google's Chrome has shown it to be quite fast. The next example is part of what Basis uses in our sales and support areas. It's an internal app that we use, and we're going to launch it today from our launch dock, and we're going to go straight into the GUI version. I'm going to log in. And we would go in, we're going to look it up by customer. That's where we look at customer records. We have search fields here. Go down and click on search. Here are our search results, and as we go through those results, notice the field to the right, the panel to the right, populates with a snapshot of those files. So we're going to select that, and we go straight into the Basis International customer profile. We have a whole list of possibilities. We can do edits. We've got contact listing within this customer file. We can scroll through that. And from here we can actually launch across to our Bcom application. We'll select that. And it uses an scall for our login information, so I'm not prompted to re-enter that again. And I'm in Bcom. I'm signed in, and this is where we were with the shopping cart, etc. We also have an email search ability here. I go here, and it will begin the search immediately. You see we've got a choice here already. You can select that and go straight into the customer file. Let's close out of that. We're going to launch Bowie add-on, which we have available internally. And as before, this is requiring no JVM on the part of the user. Here we go. Just as we saw over in the GUI version of the same application. Let's look at some of the Bowie apps our Basis partners are working on or have already deployed into the field. New York-based MQ Consultants Incorporated is a developer of a custom, fully integrated suite of Visual Pro 5 powered applications for the commercial construction industry. They had a dream of being able to run their application on a reliable and easy-to-use mobile device. With the release of the popular Apple iPad, followed by Basis's release of Bowie, MQ made the decision to move forward. Their first suite of programs, the Foreman, is an add-on application to their existing solutions and has been very well received. The Foreman addresses the paperwork monster that is a nightmare to control in the construction industry by allowing users to create quotes, place orders, check inventory, and even enter payroll data from the job site. MQ took this a step further by integrating the drag and dictation talk-to-text app to allow the foreman to work completely hands-free by talking to the device, and then also adding a signature capture feature that allows customers to sign a work ticket and immediately email it from the remote device. We've got another article in the Advantage magazine that details the MQ experience entitled The Dawning of a New Age with Bowie Apps at MQ. Let's take a look at what their app looks like. SuperMusic is a music distributor selling to customers in Europe and the United States. Currently, most of their orders are sent in via fax or email. There's a need for their customers to read their daily music articles and to be able to create their orders totally online. The current SuperMusic system is running on BBJ, and all the information is stored in a BBJ database. So it was the logical step for them to make the order system available through Bowie. It's also easy for them to make that step because it allowed them to develop in the same language for both their programs and for the order entry system. Let's have a look at what that looks like. Here's their main page, and here's a screenshot of the app running an inquiry on the music of Seal. The next example comes to us from Ohio, where a basis partner is going Bowie with a healthcare app written in Pro 5. They chose to write a small inquiry app using BBJ to access their Pro 5 database. The new inquiry piece uses Bowie to streamline the portal for members seeking information about their coverage or the status of their claim. And remember, by going Bowie, there's no need for a JVM on the client machine making that inquiry. Let's take a look at that. Here's the portal for the provider to look up real-time status.
I'm excited today to tell you about a new Basis Google Cloud utility. This new Basis utility enables access to Google documents in the cloud. It gives you the ability to save a document in the cloud as a Google Doc. It's utilized by Barista, so you should see that in the upcoming version of Barista. That'll give you the ability to save and store a document and load a document from the cloud. It's part of a Basis supplied utility set. Let's touch on a couple of the other more widely known Basis utilities. One component is our system administration utility, the Enterprise Manager. Another one is BB Jasper. Quite different for a different task and different focus. BB Jasper gives you the ability to view a Jasper report within a BBJ window. But what's different about these two Basis supplied utilities, other than the size and scope? Well, firstly, the Enterprise Manager is written in Java, and BB Jasper is written in BBJ. So we were faced with the dilemma of choosing the language to write this new Basis utility in. So let me hand over to Nick Decker to explain more about the process that we took.
We've added the Google Docs utility to the nightly builds that allow you to open and save files in the cloud with Google Docs. This is just the beginning of our integration with apps, and we've got many other utilities planned for the future, such as integrating with Google Calendars. Let's take a look at this new utility. After double-clicking on the shortcut, it asks me for a Google login. I need to provide my email address and a password. After clicking on OK, the utility comes up and it gives me a listing of all of my documents in the cloud. You can see that I've got a filter here that shows either all of the documents, or if I want to, I can limit it just to text documents, spreadsheets, presentations, drawings, and PDF files. This program can either be run with a full-blown user interface, such as what we're seeing here, or accessed programmatically through methods. These methods make it easy to write background processes that generate reports and save them to the cloud without any user interaction. It also shows that you can do all kinds of new and interesting things in the BBJ language by accessing third-party Java libraries. So what tools should we use when we're creating a new utility like this? Well, Java was certainly one possibility, as many of our engineers are familiar with that language and use it every day to write our products. Additionally, the Google Documents API that we're making use of here was written in Java, so that seemed like a reasonable candidate. However, we wanted to make sure that this utility was accessible in as many places as possible without any extra effort, including the web. This means that BBJ was the right tool for the job, as we could not only get it up and running in a matter of hours, but we'd automatically reap the benefits of Bowie. So let's take a look at this same utility program running in the browser user interface. When I launch the shortcut, it brings up my default browser, in this case Google Chrome, and it brings up a new tab, and I've got a window in here with my login. So I type in the same information as I did before to access my Google account and click on the OK button. So now the utility comes up in the browser and you can see all of my Google documents just as we did before. And I can click on different directories, and if I want to, I can filter the type of documents that I want to view. Since we decided to write this utility in BBJ, it runs both in an interpreter environment, just like we're used to, and a web browser without any special code. We didn't have to double our time and effort to build a completely separate user interface from scratch in order to leverage the Google Web Toolkit to get our program running in a browser, which is what we would have had to do if we were writing it in Java. Not only that, but we'd have to code, debug, test, and maintain a separate user interface for the web if we had originally used Java for the task. But we'd also have to become well versed in several new technologies like HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So this utility allows me to not only browse through my folders for my Google Docs and filter what types of documents that I'd like to see, I can also do searches. So let's say, for example, I want to look at all of my status reports. Type in status, click on search, and I get an instant listing of the engineer's status reports. If I wanted to look up information on training, type in train, hit search, and I've got various training schedules available to me. I can select one and click on the open button, and it opens up that Google Doc, that document in the cloud, in a brand new web browser session, all based on my utility that's written in BBJ and running in a web browser. So the take-home message here is that the code runs everywhere BBJ does, including the web, without any special code or modifications. It's the easiest and the quickest way to get a fully functional program running in a web browser. And because a BBJ application can run in a web browser, that means it's accessible on dozens of new platforms, including touch devices like Apple's iPad, and even smartphones like a Google Android-based phone or even an iPhone, even though these platforms may not support Java natively.
So, how do you get to Bowie from your current application? The old method would be to duplicate your data into a third-party database, then rewrite your app from scratch using HTML, Ajax, or JavaScript. Though the resulting app would run successfully in a browser, it would be brittle, whereby changes in the primary app would require the web version to be changed as well. The new, much simpler and efficient method is to write your new apps in BBJ, and then you'd be done. And BBJ's built-in Jetty web server serves it all up without the need for a third-party tool.
Thanks, Paul. Let's summarize what we've covered in today's session. We've looked at what Bowie is all about. We've spoken about some of the use cases, some of those internal to Basis, the Basis Bcom app that's utilized by our customers worldwide. The Basis add-on software internally generated Visual Pro 5 app was converted to BBJ several years ago. And we've looked at some of our clients' apps, a Bowie app at MQ, a construction company. We've looked at a music store app in Europe. And we've looked at a carry-to-base Pro 5 app, which has an interface with a provider lookup to a healthcare app written many, many years ago. Finally, we've touched on how you get there. So let's take your questions. But before we do so, Paul, tell us what's upcoming.
Thanks, Nico. Our next Java break will be on March 9, and it will be a walk-through add-on software. Same time, same place. Also a reminder that of our upcoming TechCon in Las Vegas on May 9th through the 11th, and we have early bird discounts that expire this Friday, February 25th. Here's where to register. From our homepage, select the Viva Basis TechCon logo. That'll take you to this page. There's the Register Today link, and again that reminder that the $200 savings expires this Friday.